Here we are again, kids. Another episode of Dad's Comic Haul. This is Dad's Comic Haul number 6. This is the holiday comic haul, man. I got a bunch of comic books for my birthday, which was December 4th, and I got comic books for Christmas, and I got one or two that I picked up on my own just because it was time to go buy some. So let's get into it. All right, first of all, I took my daughter with me to pick out some books. I wanted to get, well, I'll show you in a minute. I wanted to get a book for me, but while we were there, I had my 4-year-old daughter with me, and she's a huge My Little Pony fan. So she got one of the newest issues of My Little Pony. My Little Pony. Then, this I actually got before any of these. Like earlier there, I think the beginning of last month, maybe November. My mom actually gave me some money to go purchase some comic books. So that was her gift to me. So I went and I picked up this bad boy, which I was kind of intrigued by it because it's written by Marc Bernardin from Fat Man on Batman. If you don't know who Marc Bernardin is, he's a screenwriter. He was a journalist. He's a huge nerd. I had to get it because it was written by Marc Bernardin. And then I got a few pages into it, and I was like, dude, this is a comic book. This is fantastic. I got this. This is volume 1. They've got it in a collection form. But this is called Genius. Oh, and it's so good, man. It is so good. It's about, basically, like, I believe it's like South Central LA in the 90s, when there was a lot of, like, racial tension and stuff. They had the whole Rodney King thing. A little bit later was the O.J. Simpson trial. There was a lot of racial tension, and there was just a big buildup, especially between African Americans and police. And this book, just it's no holds barred. It's not afraid to push the envelope. It's about basically the inner city hood rising up against the police force and saying, we're not going to take this shit anymore. And basically there's this girl. She's like a teenage girl, and that's why it's called Genius. She is just a born natural, just like military tactical badass. Like, she's a genius, hence the title. She's a crazy military strategist, and she organizes everyone in the neighborhood to fight the police and the National Guard. It's an incredible story, dude. It's so good. I highly recommend this. This is volume 1, Siege. Then there's a volume 2 as well, which I found, but I haven't purchased it yet because I'm pretty sure I could find it for like half the price I found it for. So, alright, then we get into my Christmas gifts. Christmas gifts came from my wife. She picked all these basically off of my Amazon wish list. These are books I have, like, kind of ongoing list that I'm adding to on Amazon of stuff that I'd like to pick up. And so that's where she got these. X-Men Omega. This is the book 3. It's basically the Age of Apocalypse, and they put it in graphic novel form in collections. And this is part 3 of it. I don't have part 1 or part 2 yet, but this is the one that she found, and I'm happy that I got it. This is one of my favorite storylines of all time. The Age of Apocalypse is like a mid-90s storyline where it's an alternate reality where Apocalypse has basically taken over and basically more or less eradicated humans. There's a very small amount of humans left, and he's trying to make it a mutant-dominated world. Amazing storyline if you haven't read it. You can see how thick this book is. This is 1/3 of the story. It was a fantastic, like, comic book crossover event. So check that out if you never have. The Age of Apocalypse. Oh my god. Then everything I got after that was basically classics that, if you don't know this, I just recently, in the past year, started collecting comic books again after being out of the game for more than 20 years, basically since I was a teenager, and I don't have any of the old books that I had. So I'm trying to rebuild a collection, and buy some classics that I've always wanted to own. So that leads me to these Batman Year One. This is one of my favorite graphic novels of all time. This is Frank Miller's, which is the best version of Batman. This is Year One. It just chronicles the first year of his crime fighting through the eyes of Jim Gordon, mostly. Really awesome. So then we have another Batman book. We've got The Dark Knight Returns, arguably the best Batman comic book ever written, highly acclaimed. I'll read the back. This is a quote by Stephen King. Possibly the finest piece of comic art ever published in a popular edition. New York Times said, one of the pillars of modern comics. And then the Washington Post said, The Dark Knight Returns gave birth to the modern era of adult-oriented superhero storytelling. Such a fantastic story, all ending with a showdown between Batman and Superman. Fantastic. If you haven't read this, you must read it. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're probably a comic head and you probably read it. If you haven't, absolutely, The Dark Knight Returns should be one of the first comic books you ever read. And then, maybe one of the greatest comic books and movie adaptations ever, Watchmen, in graphic novel form. It's a full story. This is just a must-have, man. Anybody who's into comic books, this is one of the most adult comic books that was ever written. It's a very intellectual piece. It's just beautiful. And if you haven't seen the movie, you got to see the movie. A lot of people didn't like the movie. I think it's one of the best comic book movies that we've seen on screen yet. So it's definitely one of my favorites. It's up there. That and Logan are at the top of my list with Avengers, Infinity War, Dark Knight. That's probably my top 5. Watchmen is most definitely in the top 3 movie-wise, and definitely in the top 3 of all time comic book-wise. One of the greatest graphic novels ever written. Watchmen. Alright, and one more. I was kind of on a Batman kick this month, or these last 2 months. I picked up the second issue, book 2 of Batman Damned. And this story is just incredible. Look at that. Look at this version of Harley Quinn. This book has such an awesome version of Harley Quinn. I absolutely love it. One of the cool things about this storyline that I haven't really heard anyone talking about yet is it makes it seem as though Bruce's father, when he was a child, was cheating on his mother, and they were going to get a divorce. So I don't know if that's just an alternate storyline that they're trying to create. It's an alternate universe, but I thought it was rather cool that they changed some of the backstory. I thought that was really cool. So, but one of the best modern stories I've read, stuff that's come out in the past couple years, this Batman Damned series, and the art in this is just, let me just, look at that, and I gotta show you this Harley Quinn in here. Let me show you Harley. Look at her. Check her out. Oh, that's sweet. Anyway, if you're not reading Batman Damned, I highly recommend it. Book 1's going to run you a lot of money, though. They're not making reprints of it. It was the first appearance of Batman's bare penis. So, right now, it's selling online for between $150 and $200 for that issue. I bought it for like $50 a couple weeks after it came out, so it's a high-ticket item. So, if not, if you can't afford or don't want to go buy it, just go read them online, man. Just see if you can find them online, because this Batman Damned story is absolutely fantastic. It's the first thing I've read of modern comic books, basically, since I started reading comics again. This is the only story that intrigued me enough to actually try to read the whole story, and it's a 3-part series. I have book 1 and 2, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. It's supposed to come out bi-monthly, I think, so another 2 months, and I'll be able to get book 3 and the finale of the story. So, alright. I hope you enjoyed episode 6 of Dad's Comic Haul, and I hope you enjoy this series in general. This is just me getting back into comic books and building my collection again. And I just want to take you guys with me. I think it's a cool addition to my channel, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. So if you like this sort of thing where I talk about comic books, show my collection, or any other stuff that I do on this channel, I talk about movies, TV series, comic books, obviously, nerd shit, pop culture, all that type of stuff. If you're into that sort of thing, subscribe to the channel, because that's what I do here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.